If I could only own one vehicle in the entire world, it would be this. This is an HZJ76 Land Cruiser. Yeah, it's a 70 series Land Cruiser, but this one's special, and I'll explain why in this video.
Not only did I pick this vehicle out in person last year in Japan,
look at this. What a beautiful car.
I think of this truck as the Rolex Submariner of vehicles. Elegant while being durable and utilitarian, but in order to appreciate why the J76 is so special, you have to understand the family tree. You had the original 40 series, which looked a lot like a Jeep. In the 1980s, Toyota split the 40 into the 60 series and the 70 series. The 60 geared more towards city life. The 70 built for the rigors of the farm, the field, and the war zone, as I'll get into in my next video. Did they just skip the 50 series? No, that's the Iron Pig. The 50 was actually a pretty cool truck, but it's exceedingly rare. Some Land Cruiser fans have never even seen one in person. It was the predecessor to the 60 series, but bad timing. When it came out in the 60s, Americans didn't really know what the Land Cruiser was, and it was too big for the Japanese market. Demand was low, Toyota killed it off. The 60 series was Toyota's second attempt at a suburban Land Cruiser. Introduced in 1980, production ended in 1990. I owned a 60, and while they're cool trucks in my opinion, they make for a pretty bad daily driver by modern standards, well, even by 80s standards. Loud on the road, terrible AC, collectors have driven prices on the good ones up towards six figures and beyond. But the 70 series, in my opinion, it does everything the 40, 50, and 60 tried to do, but better. Introduced in 1984, Toyota never stopped making the 70 series. That's how good this truck is. The 70 outlived the 60, it outlived the 80, the 90, the 100. It's still here alongside the 200 and the 300 series. Why? Because the 70 series is the best truck ever made. Come on. A lot of you saw my J78 video. I'll be honest, dollar for dollar, I probably like that J78 Prado better than the J76. I know it's blasphemy. Most Land Cruiser guys who, to their credit, are much less assholey than a lot of other car enthusiasts will tell you that the Prado isn't a real Land Cruiser. Bit of gatekeeping. But my Prado is one of the most swagged out debonair trucks you're ever gonna see in your life. Plush velour 3-row seating, wood grain, Nardi steering wheel.
One of my most favorite cars ever.
Excellent air conditioning, nimble handling, smooth ride. Even though that turbocharged 3-liter 4-cylinder diesel makes about the same power as the 6-cylinder in this J76, the engine's the weak point of the Prado. By normal car standards, the 70 Prado's plenty reliable. But by Land Cruiser standards, the 1KZ and some of the other Prado engines can be hit or miss. On the other hand, the heavy-duty 70 series, especially the ones with HZ in the model code, are the gold standard, not just for Toyota, but for the whole frickin' world. My truck is an HZJ76. We could spend the rest of this video just talking about those 5 characters. J, because as I've mentioned before, the Land Cruiser was originally called the Toyota Jeep. Toyota had to change the name, obviously, for exports to avoid lawsuits, but they kept the J in the model code as a wink and a nod. To this day, every Land Cruiser still starts with a J. 7 means it's a 70 series, then HZ, the important part. This denotes the 1HZ diesel engine, a 4.2-liter straight-six banger that came out in 1990 and is still in production today, 35 years later.
You've all heard about it back at home. This is what they call the million-mile engine. A little bit of a misnomer because it's more like the million-kilometer engine, but that's still really impressive. 4.2-liter naturally aspirated diesel engine. This thing fires right up. No one is going to mistake this for a smooth running petrol engine. This thing, it runs like a tractor, drives fine, especially when you get it at higher RPMs, like you're driving on the highway, it's fine. This engine is a masterwork of modern engineering. They've been making it since the 1990s and they still put this same engine into 70 series Land Cruisers today.
This isn't just a reliable engine. This is the reliable engine. Many would say the most reliable engine ever made. It only makes about 129 horsepower and 210 foot-pounds of torque, but it wasn't built to be fast. It was built to be reliable. A very simple diesel that'll run on low-grade stale fuel in the middle of nowhere and keep on going. This is the AK-47 of engines. Yeah, it's outdated a little bit, but it still works and it's nearly impossible to kill. For me, that means peace of mind, because not only will it never quit, but if it ever did, parts are everywhere in the global market. Now the 6 in HZJ76. The J76 was first introduced in August 1999. Mine was built in December of that year, so I had to wait until December 2024 to import it under the U.S. 25-year rule. With a 9-foot wheelbase, the J76 was the largest Land Cruiser of the 2000 model year, other than the pickup J79 and the troop carrier J78. It has coil springs up front, leaf springs in the rear, which gives you a nice balance. Comfort for the driver, durability for load carrying. Yes, it's still a heavy-duty utilitarian truck, but the J76 was a mild pivot away from hardcore utility, more towards comfort, and without sacrificing engine, drivetrain, or suspension like the Prado kinda did, and especially if you got the ZX trim.
ZX, that ZX, kind of important. It's the trim level.
That gives you some decent creature comforts. Ice-cold AC, power windows, running boards, alloy wheels, a sunroof. Mine even came with a factory winch bumper. I removed it not because it wasn't cool, but because it was heavy and it stretched the front end into what cruiser nerds call a front porch. It's a great off-road option, but ugly as hell in my opinion, especially in such a pretty truck. Let me give you a walkthrough.
Whew, my tits are sweating out here. So this is the interior of my 70 series Land Cruiser. As you can see here, this one has air conditioning, which we're gonna fire up right now. Starts right up, of course. Actually, the AC works really, really well in this truck. You can see it's got the full panel. I kind of like how they do things. Here's the fan speed and then the AC strength with that little lever right there. Air conditioning vents, glove box, cigarette lighter, which I have a USB charger in now. This is the standard OEM radio. Kind of sounds like crap. I've got a Bluetooth tape adapter so I can listen to whatever I want to listen to on my phone. Down here, two fun little features for your transmission. You've got power mode and second mode. Power mode is so you downshift more aggressively. It takes longer to upshift, so you get more power at the cost of fuel economy, of course. And then second mode, the button that says second there, that's so you start out in second gear. That's like if you're on slick terrain, ice, whatever, and you want to start out in second gear, you don't want to peel out, there's your button. Of course, it's got little coin holders. I've got a yen. I don't know what a yen is worth right now. I think it's like 7,000th of a cent or something like that, but that was in here whenever I got it. Little center console. I will never, as long as I live, understand the square cup holders. I'm sure someone's going to tell me in the comments, but my other Land Cruiser, my other 70 series, has square cup holders, and I don't know why that is. Power mirrors. That's actually a pretty odd thing to have on a utilitarian truck like that. We've got controls for the defrost. We've got controls for the rear wiper. Of course, you've got your lever for your transfer case for four-wheel drive. Diff lock right here. This controls the front and the rear diff lock. Your manual throttle, so that's so you can manually turn up your throttle. Now, what I know it's used for is people will use that to kind of hop the engine up if you need a little bit more power for your winch or any other auxiliary items that you have. This actually had a factory winch included that I took off. Hood release, fuel latch release, transfer case. This locks the front and the rear axles together. Power windows, window locks, power door locks. Also not extremely common. And another fun little oddity here, check that out. Because we've got the ZX trim, which is the highest trim level, we've got this nice interior, which this is nice by Land Cruiser standards. You also have the power sunroof / moonroof, which is quite a flex for these trucks. Got all the power options. So it has all the modern conveniences while still being a rugged, durable truck. The Dobinson Stock Height Restoration Kit, it basically replaces your 25-year-old shocks and springs. Ends up giving you a lift of about like 1.5 inches or so. That brings it close to like what it would have been new off the lot 25 years ago. Ah, this is a fun little thing right here. Stick your little hand over there. Did you feel that? It's like a pressure equalizer in the car. I don't know why they have it. They all the 70 series have it. It's the funniest thing. You shut the door, pressure kind of comes out. Someone explained to me why that is, and there's a good reason for it. I just don't know what it is. Back here, you've got a back seat, plenty spacious. Headrest comes out, goes in the back. Seat folds forward. There's a little lever down here. Folds up, gives you a lot more space here in the back. You can see I got a bunch of crap back here. Disregard that for purposes of the video. Funny enough, they call this a 5-door, even though technically you could look at it as a 4-door or a 6-door, because there are 2 doors back here. These are the ambulance doors. Gives you a nice wide point of entry back here, right? I've got a bunch of crap back here. I actually have the original drip guards that I took off, the Toyota branded drip guards. I've got the winch controller back here because, as I mentioned, this one had a factory winch which looked like it was never used. But I had that taken off. Plenty of space, got some modern conveniences. Is this a Mercedes? No. Is it your grandmother's RAV4? Certainly not. But it's good enough to work as a daily driver while also being tough enough to take you through the apocalypse, and that's why I love it.
All right, not exactly luxurious, but by 70 series standards, this is a Bentley. So what's it like to drive? Well, not like a Bentley, but in some ways that's the point. The good, this truck sits high with big low windows, so excellent visibility. You feel in command in traffic or in the open. And while it's big, by modern standards, it's like responsible big. For example, it's about the same height as a Ram 2500, but it's a foot narrower and about 3 or 4 feet shorter. No one would call it small, but it's not excessive either, and it's much classier than Ram. Come on, that's no surprise considering that Ram drivers are statistically twice as likely to get a DUI than any other driver on the road. 1 in 22 Ram 2500 drivers has a DUI. Quite impressive. I'll bet 1 in 10 of them has truck nuts too. I'm not saying Land Cruiser drivers are better. Actually, no, I am saying it. Land Cruiser drivers are better. The AC blows cold. The ride's comfortable, especially if you've got a Gordon Miller seat cushion.
Gordon Miller Portera ass pad. Yeah.
Those of you fellow JDM car weebs out there know that Gordon Miller is actually the Japanese Autobox house brand. I've driven mine from Florida to Louisiana on the interstate with the automatic transmission. It's fine. Not the greatest experience, obviously, but still smoother and quieter than my new soft-top Jeep. Yeah, it's slow off the line with 129 horsepower, but you could always get the turbocharged 1HD version for about 200 horsepower and over 300 foot-pounds of torque. Either way, it'll cruise highway speeds just fine without screaming at redline. And yes, it's right-hand drive. That takes some getting used to, but you adapt. It's not that hard. In fact, parallel parking's easier. You can see everything, and you get out on the curbside. Parking garages, daily thing for me, and it still works. So in summary, if I can only own one vehicle, this is it. I deal with bad roads, street floods, hurricanes, swamps, beaches. I need a tall, reliable truck that can take the abuse. But believe it or not, I'm also a professional. As an attorney, it would be kind of weird for me to roll up to court in a Ram 2500 with truck nuts and a DUI. The J76 ZX, the Rolex sub of vehicles, a tough utilitarian truck that's also elegant, especially with coils up front and the top trim ZX package. The sunroof, nice to have. Right-hand drive feels like owning a car with an English accent. It's uncommon, it's collectible, built like a tank. The bad news, you're gonna pay through the nose for one like this. I paid less than 17 grand for my J78 Prado before import fees and taxes, but after shipping, the J76 over 38 grand before import, tax, tag, title, registration, but this is top trim, mint condition with only 45,000 miles. It's basically new for a 70 series. For that, it's worth it. If you're looking for something a little bit milder, maybe without a sunroof, my buddy Aaron at Bulldog Auto can probably get you into one, if I had to guess, in the $20,000 to $30,000 range. He's not a sponsor. He doesn't pay for me to mention him. He's just a buddy of mine who knows these trucks inside and out. This is my J76. I think this is the best daily driver Land Cruiser you can buy today, but I want to know what you think. Which Land Cruiser series do you like the best? If you could only own one. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe if you want more deep dives on these legendary trucks. Thanks, guys. Take care.